9 reasons why cruise passengers are denied boarding. So imagine this. You've planned the perfect cruise. You've got your outfits ready, your countdown app's been running for 112 days, and then at the terminal, someone with a clipboard says, "Sorry, you can't board." Excuse me? Yep. These cruise lines are turning people away for reasons that range from fair enough to, "Are you actually serious right now?" In this video, we're diving into 9 real, ridiculous, and slightly outrageous reasons why passengers were denied boarding, even after doing everything mostly right. And make sure you watch till the end, because reason number 9 involves a family getting banned for life, not because of what they did, but what their kid got up to. Also, reason number 6? Let's just say it's the cruise line's way of saying congratulations, but not today. Number 1, a loose stitch on a passport. This one almost doesn't feel real, but it happened. A British couple spent months planning their cruise from Australia. They flew all the way to Sydney, over 10,000 miles. They arrived at the terminal, ready to check in, passports in hand, probably already picturing that welcome drink. But then, something odd happened. The cruise line staff took the husband's passport and gave it just a little too much attention. After flipping through a few pages, they noticed something they didn't like. A single page inside the passport was slightly lifted, with a loose binding stitch. That's it. No tears, no missing pages. The passport was valid and had even passed through airport immigration earlier that day without an issue. But Cunard's policy was clear. If the passport appears even slightly damaged, they won't risk it. And so, they denied boarding. No cruise, no refund, just a devastated couple stranded in one of the most expensive cities on Earth. And here's the part that really stings. They weren't offered any workaround. No replacement option, no future credit, just a goodbye wave from the check-in desk. Honestly, if your passport's been through even one laundry cycle in its lifetime or has the tiniest wear near the spine, it's worth replacing it before you cruise. Because the airport might say yes, but the cruise line, they have their own rules. Number 2, invalid birth certificate. Okay, now this one is brutal, because on paper, this woman did nothing wrong. She was set to cruise on Independence of the Seas. She showed up with all her documents, including a birth certificate from Puerto Rico, the same one she'd used on previous cruises. But when she got to the terminal, Royal Caribbean refused to let her board. Why? Because the birth certificate was issued before 2011, and under newer U.S. travel regulations, those older certificates from Puerto Rico are no longer considered valid for cruise travel. And the real kicker? She wasn't told about this change at booking. She'd even spoken to a travel agent beforehand and still had no idea her document had expired in the eyes of Homeland Security. So, despite being a U.S. citizen and having cruised before with the same document, she was left behind at the dock. No warning, no leniency, and again, no cruise. If you're planning to sail without a passport, this is the kind of thing that can completely blindside you. Cruise lines are strict with ID, and what they consider valid might be very different than what you or even your travel agent thinks. You don't want to find out the hard way that a small change in regulation now means your trip is over before it begins. Number 3, school ID doesn't count, even if you asked first. Now this one caused major drama, and honestly, you can't blame the family for being furious. A mom spent over a year planning a cruise for her family. It was meant to be a big, memory-making trip. Her 16-year-old son, who had a disability, was absolutely buzzing about it. They'd saved up, packed early, checked all the boxes. And when they got to the Royal Caribbean terminal in Florida, they handed over their documents like any other excited passengers. Then came the bombshell. The cruise staff looked at the son's ID, a school-issued photo ID, and said, "Sorry, this doesn't meet requirements." The mom was stunned. She'd called ahead and was told it was fine. But now, the ship was boarding and they were being stopped at the gate like they were trying to sneak in with a fake name and a forged invitation. And just like that, the entire family was denied boarding. Not just the teen, everyone. There were no backup documents, no exceptions made. And when the mom asked why the staff wouldn't honor what she'd been told previously, she got the classic cruise line shrug. So yes, even if you ask, even if you think you've done everything right, if the ID isn't government issued and photo approved, they can, and will, shut it all down. Moral of the story? If your teenager doesn't have a passport or official state ID, don't assume a school card will cut it, even if the school photo is adorable. Cruise lines aren't moved by dimples. Number 4, on time and still left behind. All right, here's the one that makes absolutely no sense, and yet it keeps happening. Picture this. A couple shows up at the cruise terminal on embarkation day. They're on time, they've got their documents, they're standing in line behind a bunch of excited cruisers. The ship is right there. Not boarding, not sailing, still tied up. But because they didn't make it by final check-in time, a different deadline than the departure time, they were denied boarding on the spot. No, really. The couple insisted they were within their scheduled window, but the staff said the boarding cutoff had passed, and per policy, they couldn't override it. So even though the ship wouldn't be pulling away for another 45 minutes, they weren't allowed on. And you know what really adds salt to the wound? Their luggage had already been loaded onto the ship. So while they were standing there in total disbelief, their bags were halfway to the Bahamas without them, probably having a better vacation. No refund, no rebooking, and no explanation that made a lick of sense. So here's the harsh reality. Cruise lines don't mess around with time. If you're not checked in by the terminal's cutoff, it doesn't matter if the ship is still playing steel drum music and sipping piña coladas. You're not getting on. And get this, reason number 5 is even worse. It turns out you can have a confirmed reservation and still get kicked to the curb, simply because someone else showed up first. Number 5, overbooked and out of luck. Yep, cruise ships overbook, just like airlines. One couple arrived early, documents in hand, and were told, "Sorry, the ship's full." They had a paid reservation, confirmed for weeks. But since cruise lines expect a few no-shows, they sometimes book extra guests, just in case. When everyone actually shows up, somebody gets bumped. And on this day, it was them. No upgrade, no apology, just a "you'll get a refund" and a polite wave from the terminal staff. So, don't just show up on time, show up early, and maybe pack a plan B in your carry-on. Number 6, pregnancy past the cutoff. Cruise lines are strict about this. If you're visibly pregnant and past 23 or 24 weeks, you're not boarding. Doesn't matter how healthy you are or how long you've planned it. There have been cases where guests were just a few days over the limit and still turned away, even with a doctor's note. One couple had their entire baby moon cruise canceled at the dock. They were crushed. The cruise line? Firm as ever. So before you book, check the policy. And don't fudge the due date. They've seen it all. If you're still watching and quietly panicking about your own passport or pregnancy math, now's the time to click that like button and subscribe for more cruise survival tips every week. And hey, drop a comment below if you've ever had a cruise almost fall apart for a weird reason. I read them all, usually with popcorn. Number 7, passport packed in checked luggage. This one is surprisingly common and always a little painful to hear. A couple arrived at the cruise terminal feeling relaxed, confident, maybe even smug. Their luggage was already whisked away by porters, they were ready to board, and then came the question. Can we see your passports? Cue panic. Turns out, they had packed both passports inside their checked bags. You know, the ones now somewhere deep in the ship's belly, behind 12 other suitcases and a cart full of duty-free vodka. And no, security didn't let them dig through the luggage mountain. And no, the cruise line didn't go fetch it for them. Instead, they were told, "Sorry, without those passports in hand, we can't let you board." So while their belongings went on a lovely tropical cruise, they were left sitting on a bench outside the terminal, wondering if anyone would notice their bags awkwardly honeymooning alone in Cozumel. Moral of the story? Your passport isn't just a travel document. It's your golden ticket. Treat it like a fragile newborn and never, ever let it out of your carry-on. Honestly, it's kind of impressive they managed to get everything else right and still face-planted at the final step. Number 8, looking unwell. Ah yes, nothing says happy vacation like being told your face looks concerning. Multiple cruisers have reported being denied boarding for appearing sick, as in visibly flushed, sweating, or just looking a little too pale and tired for comfort. One guy shared that he showed up after a long delayed flight, exhausted, slightly dehydrated, and red from sun exposure the day before. A staff member took one look at him and radioed the medical team. Within minutes, he was politely escorted out of the boarding line and asked to undergo a wellness screening. Spoiler, they didn't clear him. He wasn't sick, just exhausted and slightly hungover from pre-cruise margaritas. But that didn't matter. The cruise line said they couldn't take the risk. Ship sailed. He didn't. And you know what? That awkward vacation shirt he bought just for embarkation day still had the tag on it. So here's the uncomfortable truth. If you show up looking even a little off, they can and sometimes will pull the plug on your trip. No thermometer needed, just vibes. Feeling a bit warm from standing in the sun? Too bad. You now look questionable. You really have to love the irony. Spend months avoiding getting sick before your cruise, and then get denied boarding for looking tired from trying not to get sick. Number 9. Banned for life because of the kids. You'd think cruise lines only blacklist people for something serious, right? Like breaking furniture, starting a fight, or, I don't know, attempting to steal a lifeboat? But no. There are actual reports of entire families being banned from future cruises because of what their kids did. Yep, not the adults, the kids. One case posted on Cruise Critic involved a family who'd cruised with the same line multiple times, but on their last trip, their 12-year-old son was caught pulling the fire alarm near the kids' club just to see what happens. Security was called, there were apologies, tears, probably threats to cancel dessert privileges forever, but the damage was done. The cruise line logged the incident as a serious safety breach, and weeks later, the family received a letter. "You are no longer welcome to cruise with us." Another case involved a teenager caught climbing over balcony railings to impress a girl. Not only was he banned, but so were his parents, who apparently weren't even on that deck at the time. Guilt by association, courtesy of cruise security footage. And no, there's no appeal process. Once you're on the do not sail list, you're out forever. So while you're packing your sunscreen and dinner outfits, maybe also have a quick, don't get us banned from international waters talk with the kids. Because one prank, one dare, or one very bad decision in the arcade, and your entire family could become legendary for all the wrong reasons.